The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting group. Access Fort Wayne is a department of the Allen County Public Library. If you or anyone you know might be interested in making a television show, please call 260-421-1250.
Hi, welcome to the Kachmann Mind, Body, Spirit show. Today will be very interesting. It is going to be about leptin, the king of hormones. You'll know all about it after I get done. And I have a number of websites which I'm going to give you names that you can look at for additional information. Incidentally, you can go to YouTube, Kachmann, Kachmann, and I've got it on there about 1,000 previous shows on health. Yes, just go to YouTube, Kachmann, and you'll get a lot of information. I also have some podcasts on Look Good, Disease Free. That's the name of the website. So I have a lot of information for you. Let's get on the road and let's have some fun here today. So leptin is the king of hormones. Wow, what am I saying? Leptin is released from the fat cells. The fat cells release the leptin. It is named for leptos, the Greek word for thin. Okay. Leptin rises in proportion to the amount of fat stored in your body. So your leptin level will indicate how much fat is in your body. Very interesting. It acts directly on the brain cells that are believed to be in control of satiety, that you're full, or pleasure sensation of fullness you feel after a meal. Okay, well, that's interesting. At the same time, insulin, the one that stuffs sugar into your cells, turns down production of ghrelin. Ghrelin is a hormone in the stomach that appears to promote hunger. Your ghrelin increases your hunger. Together, the levels of these hormones deliver a signature to the brain your appetite has been satisfied. So you stopped eating. So the things that occur in our body really are regulated by hormones. And this will be a talk about hormones. Both glucose, blood sugar, and fructose, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute, are simple sugars, but they differ in their scientific ways. Fructose does not trigger the pancreas to release large amounts of insulin, so fructose is metabolized differently, and I will teach you more about it. So, and because fructose doesn't cause a steep rise in insulin, it causes a little change in leptin and ghrelin. The result? What's the result? Food beverages that are high in fructose provide plenty of calories, a lot of calories in fructose foods, but they do a poor job of satisfying your appetite. So you can drink drinks with a lot of fructose in it, but they don't stop your appetite, okay? They leave you hungry and you want more, okay? In addition to including the attention of leptin, fructose seems to block this appetite hormone from doing its job. So you get leptin resistance, interesting, which makes maintaining a healthy weight even harder, a problem known as leptin resistance. And that's what this show is really all about. It occurs when the hormone is unable to deliver its stop eating message to the brain. So leptin resistance stops your brain from realizing, I'm full. As a result, a person in leptin resistance, okay, may consume food more than needs to satisfy the appetite, which can cause weight gain. And that's what this is about. But it's not just about gaining visible weight, it's also about fat in the liver or fat in the pancreas. And we'll discuss more about that. Studies indicate that obese people often show evidence of leptin resistance. Okay? High doses of fructose cause leptin resistance. Remember that fructose goes straight to the liver. It doesn't increase your glucose level, it goes to the liver and puts fat into the liver. Your fat is not your fault, okay? We're not blaming anybody or anyone be guilty about it. We all have fat in our body. I myself weigh 125 pounds, but I have fat in my body. Yeah, it's hidden in the muscles. Yeah, it's hidden in the muscles. So, because if I were not to eat at all, I could live for about a month because the body will live off the fat that's in my muscles. And some glycogen in the liver and quite a bit more in the muscles. So a hormone dysfunction has occurred that disrupts the body's natural ability to regulate appetite and metabolism. Unfortunately, most doctors are not aware of this. If you can't lose weight, you probably have leptin resistance. Yes. Discovery of leptin resistance is the key to freeing millions of Americans from the tyranny of yo-yo dieting, food cravings, for example, and continual struggle with their weight. We are simply suffering a chemical imbalance. Chemicals regulate your body. We have in our body about 50 hormones, but there are many more of one than another. The problem comes when this natural ability is disrupted, most often by a condition called inflammation in the body. You need to learn a lot about that. Inflammation contributes to asthma allergies, colitis, cancer, heart disease, atherosclerosis. Scientists now realize that obesity is caused by inflammation. Mm-hmm. This is because inflammation triggers leptin resistance. Remember, the leptin, if level is high, will turn off the appetite. You won't eat anymore, which leads to unwanted pounds. Inflammation can cause redness and swelling, but sometimes is visible only at a cellular level, and your doctor may not be aware of it. At a cellular level, we don't see it. But if we did some blood tests for information, that blood test would be elevated. There are two main causes of inflammation: the type of food that you're eating. Are you eating high sugary foods, low-fat foods? Eating an excessive weight itself. Excessive weight itself will cause inflammation. Inflammation disrupts your body's natural weight regulation system. Excessive fat creates inflammation. Fat produces inflammation, okay? Making extra weight usually difficult to remove because you're in an inflamed situation. Let's take a minute and learn about what are good foods. So we increase your education. Beverages: cherry juice, green tea, pomegranate juice, vegetable juice. Nuts and seeds: almonds, flax seeds, sesame seeds, walnuts are healthy foods. Fruits: apples, blueberries, cherries, grapefruit, oranges, pomegranate. Vegetables: arugula, bell peppers, broccoli, cabbage, carrots, leeks. Vegetables: onions, romaine lettuce, shiitake mushrooms, spinach, tomatoes. Herbs and spices: basil, black pepper, chive, cilantro, cloves, garlic, ginger, turmeric. Just wanted to teach you something about what good foods might be all about. We'll explain to you the fat resistance diet, and you'll lose about 5 pounds a month. And we will explain this to you. And you see this book I've had up here for you. It would be a very good book to read. You could get it in the library. I noticed, so you can go to Amazon, and what the original price may be, look for used copy. And the used copy usually is 1/10 the price of the real copy. Yes, I've learned that, and I also found out, because I've easily ordered 1,000 books in the past, is that the used copies are almost as good as the new copy. Buy the used copy. I like you to have a book because underlying things, circling things, tells you what's important. You can always quickly refer to again. So I do recommend that you get a book. And this is a very good book on leptin. I will also, as I go on here, give you some websites that I want you to look at that are excellent, and I'll emphasize them when I get to them. So the resistance diet is an individualized diet. We're all a little bit different. There's not just one diet that applies to everyone. We're all a little bit different. They need to be adjusted. So the National Institute of Health, this is where I'm coming to what I think is very important. I want you to pay attention here. The National Institute of Health developed a computer software. How about that? A computer that would make it easier for people to analyze the quality of their own diets. Okay? Okay, and this is, that software is now called Nutrition Workshop. There's different names, and I'll give them to you. It is now being used to train medical students, and you can find it at www.nutritionworkshop. Also, it has another name, and I want you to look at these sites. Use your iPad. That's really the best. Called www.nutritioninstitute.com. www.nutritioninstitute.com. I hope the whole country is using it. I forget it, doubt it. I think we have not let the public know this great site is available, because when you open your eyes and you look around, you walk down the street, we are concerned. We're not being judgmental or critical. I'm concerned because there's so much diabetes going on, not just in this town, although the state is one of the worst in the world. It's not just a local epidemic, it's a pandemic. It's across the world. And we're trying to do something about it today. Okay? So I've looked at these sites, and I've reviewed the website and found it extremely helpful. And I want you to have access to it. This site has a lot of free information. And on it, it'll have 10 good breakfasts, 10 good dinners. It explains what good food is, what bad food is, with nice pictures, and it's downloadable to your iPad, that you can just hit it and it'll come up. Something you might want to look at daily is something that you might share with the whole family, because generally the family has the same way of eating. And they all think, well, it's genetic. Well, genes regulate what happens to us, maybe 20%. The rest is what you're putting on your plate. So to use these websites and books that I recommend, I think it's very helpful. There's no single dietary program that is right for everybody. We're all a little bit different. But if you think the whole family they all seem to have the same problem, like type 2 diabetes, odds are you're just eating the same food. It's not your genes most of the time. I found the keto way works for 90% or higher of people. If you, the most famous person, I think, in the world, a couple, they're from England, the Unwins, David Unwin, and I have their book here with me, a book that they published, Fork in the Road, A Hopeful Guide to Food Freedom. This, you can read it in 2 or 3 nights. What they are saying is that most of us are addicted to sugar. And I think he's right. It's an excellent book. It describes it in detail, has recipes in the end. And what's particularly good about this book is that on page 144 or 142, 145, they have great websites that you could look at for additional information. I think is would be excellent. If you feel like, so I highly recommend Fork in the Road, A Hopeful Guide to Food Freedom. And even on the cover, you see Robert Lustig's name and Gary Taubes, very famous people in the nutrition field. So this is highly educational. I think this is very important. So let us continue on our road. We can put it in different stages, but like I said, you follow that book, you follow the Leptin book. They will explain to you different ways of eating. So stage 1 has addressed your leptin resistance. Stage 2 gives you a chance to eat a wide variety of delicious foods that will leave you feeling satisfied. There are recipes in the Fork in the Road book. There are a lot of recipes in the Leptin book, because you may want to follow certain recipes, and they are in there. And the websites that I gave you, on nutrition, they have great meal plans, and they will teach you how to do keto. They teach you what it's all about, and there'll be some recipes there. And if you need a coach, that's also on the website, some of which will be free, some they may charge. And if you want to get a degree in nutrition, then you have to pay for it. But there's somewhat free information. So you feeling satisfied, you lose about two pounds a week. Yeah, you can stay at this stage as long as you like, and I already mentioned I recommend the book Mastering Leptin. This book right here that'll give you recipes, type of food you should be eating. So stage 3 is your lifelong weight maintenance program. Will protect you from inflammation. Keep your leptin resistance at bay. Okay? Research on leptin resistance is so fresh and new that most doctors are not aware of leptin resistance, the reason you can't lose weight. Yeah. The inflammation which causes most of the suffering is working at a cellular level. You can have inflammation that's easily visible. You break something and it's red. but the inflammation that's occurring in our bodies, and many people have no obvious symptoms. The inflammation is going on, and they're not aware of it. But if they ran a serum insulin, you then would know, and if that level is above 30, you know inflammation is occurring. And that's a real problem, and we don't take advantage of that. We say you're diabetic when your blood sugar is up. But the serum insulin is up for 10 to 15 years. And disease is occurring in your body, yes, before you're aware of it. But if you acted on when the insulin was elevated, you'd avoid all these diseases. So at a cellular level, often have symptoms, but it's actually, and it's affecting our body sometimes for years, as I already mentioned. And we can be diabetic for 10 to 15 years before our blood sugar or HbA1c ever goes up. Yes. You can be a diabetic 10 to 15 years before your blood sugar ever goes up, and all these changes are occurring in your body. That's why half the people have a heart attack. They grab their chest and they die. I know a number of people it happened to, including one of my friends. He was playing tennis, not against me, and he just grabbed his chest and he died right there. This must have been the situation with him. So a serum insulin test would have revealed that he was having a problem. The dietitians are not testing for it and not telling their people. The dietitians are trained 50% by industry. They make more money keeping you sick. You got to be aware of that. That's true. You can look it up on the internet. Chronic inflammation sets in motion a chain of biochemical events that results in a hormonal imbalance called leptin resistance. Remember, we talked about that. A condition that makes it nearly impossible to maintain a healthy weight. It's not giving the right message. When you cure your inflammation, your leptin resistance should also disappear. The concept of leptin resistance marks a major advance in our understanding of weight gain and weight loss. Very interesting. The latest weight loss research says that fat is not inert. It's a storehouse of calories. It's an organ that produces its own hormones. Fat produces its own hormones. If fat is just under your skin, usually is harmless, but the rest of it around your organs and such, your belly is highly inflammatory. But fats secrete hormones. They regulate itself. When we gain weight, our fat produces a hormone known as leptin. Remember, we spoke about this leptin that suppresses our appetite, speeds up our metabolic system, but causing us to lose the extra pounds you just put on. But if this process fails to operate, you're leptin resistant, then our fat-regulating hormones aren't working. We're having leptin resistance. The leptin is not turning the appetite up. Remember, as you eat more, the leptin level, fat increases, and the leptin level goes up, and it's supposed to turn appetite off. But if you have leptin resistance, it's not doing its job properly, and we suffer the hormone imbalance known as leptin resistance. We mentioned this. The most exciting breakthrough occurred in 1994 by discovery of the leptin hormone that lets the brain know how much fat your body has. That's when they discovered it. You can even get a blood test for it today. Yes. If your body fat falls to a very low level, leptin levels go down to signal the brain to go into a state of emergency, to eat more, to keep you alive. The key to easy, permanent weight loss is to correct the leptin resistance that causes the weight to rise. That involves to eliminate certain foods. Let me tell you about another hormone. Adiponectin is another regulating hormone, but it's not the main one we're discussing, but it's the ones you know about it. High levels of adiponectin help your muscles turn fat into energy. Remember I said all of us, even people who don't feel fat in their body like I don't. I weigh 125 pounds this morning, but I've got fat in my muscles, glycogen in the liver, some glycogen which we can convert to sugar, some glycogen in the muscles, but there's also actual fat in the muscles themselves. They fight inflammation and increase insulin sensitivity. When leptin is out of balance, it interferes with the ability for the body to burn fat for fuel. The number one sign that there is a problem in overeating, at night is the single most important symptom that leptin is really out of control. After 6 p.m., eating personality takes over, the one driven by leptin resistance, reinforced by alcohol or stress. We're all stressed, okay? I'm stressed. Maybe I recognize it better than other people. It craves sweets or fat. Very difficult to resist. We had a party at my house the other night for my wife's book club, and they all brought in some food, and they all brought in some desserts. I could not resist the desserts, and I ate a lot of cookies and sweet things people brought in. I think through evolution, we all seek sugary products. I, some reason, couldn't resist it. My wife should have said, "Rudy, you can't eat that." But I did eat it, and sure enough, during the night, I had a reaction to that, yes. So leptin has a 24-hour pattern. It's not just like this, it goes up and down. So leptin levels rise at night. They follow a 24-hour pattern of natural rhythm. It has a natural rhythm to it. They are highest the first 2 hours after sleep. It goes up, and you don't want to eat. And they have the lowest level around noon. Now you want to eat because the leptin levels are low. Then rise again. So obese individuals have lost their leptin rhythm. They have lost this rhythm. They want to eat all the time. They have lost the ability to burn calories properly. That is how they became obese. When leptin works properly, a high leptin level tells a person that they are full and not to eat. A person with leptin resistance has higher levels of leptin at night, but the brain does not get the message. So normally that you don't want to eat after you go to sleep, but now you're excessively hungry. You need to follow 5 rules, again, written about in this book. You can learn more about it. Never eat after dinner. Allow 11 to 12 hours between dinner and breakfast. Never go to bed on a full stomach. Finish eating dinner at least 3 hours before bedtime. With leptin resistance, the levels peak too early, cause intense food cravings. 9 to 12 hours after dinner are prime fat-burning times. If anything is eaten before bed, the prime fat-burning time is shut off. Since leptin is highest at night, nighttime eating pattern is a key indicator that leptin and insulin are flying together. Individuals with leptin resistance also have problems with insulin resistance. Excess amounts of insulin are prime contributor factor of leptin resistance. So they're brothers, they work together. That leads to obesity. It's also clear that the triad of insulin resistance, leptin resistance, and adrenaline stress hormone resistance lead to high blood pressure. To reduce adrenaline resistance, one approach is to reduce the space meals for maximum, even through leptin is primarily involved with the long-term fuel issues. It still has a secondary communicating system to support short-term needs. Leptin and insulin are in the process of communication. They communicate with each other. Insulin production stimulates leptin production. It also has been proven that leptin receptors are present on the insulin-producing B cells of the pancreas. Yes, the receptors that stick up from the cells, they also have leptin receptors, demonstrating the ability to turn off insulin production. Once leptin resistance sets in and leptin levels are high, the pancreatic B cells do not respond to the signal from leptin to stop making insulin. The brain is developing leptin resistance, and so it is in the pancreas developing leptin resistance. And the pancreas has now been proven to be a fast track towards becoming a type 2 diabetic. That's one of my main focus, to prevent and reverse diabetes. And the fastest way to do that really is to go keto, which I told you the website that teaches it very well and in great detail. In another place that I think that you could get this information is a book here that I recommend very highly, Simply Keto by Susan Ryan. Okay. And you can go to Amazon Books, and it costs you about $39 or $40. But you can go to used copy, $3 or $4. Yes. And this is a used copy. It looks like it's a brand new. This is what I like about her book is that the first 70 pages, she explains what keto is, and then she has recipes in there, 3 meals a day. If you want to get rid of diabetes quicker, 2 meals a day. I'd also say if you're on a number of medications, you need to speak to have a doctor that can tell you what the interaction of medications are, so that you know when your blood sugar is too high or too low. I really think to have a monitor on your arm, it would be a good idea. So if you don't feel right, you can find out what your blood sugar is. If you're type 2 diabetic and you feel like you need some coaching, like I said, you can go to this website that I told you about, but also there's a company called Virta, V-I-R-T-A, Virta Health. Just go on the computer, you'll get the phone number. They're in California, but they will talk to you virtually. And small cost involved, but if you want to get rid of a disease that's killing you, which type 2 diabetes in the end will cut your lifespan short, cause many disabilities, Alzheimer's disease, amputations, dislocations, that Virta Health will talk to you in person at a small cost, probably 2 or 3 months. You have to pay them a little something. But again, you can get a lot of that information on the previous websites that I gave you. Simply Keto is a great explanation there. And they have counselors too, if you feel like you need one. But she excellent book, and you won't have this. Susan Ryan lost about over 100 pounds. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but remember I said 30% of the people that have diabetes are of normal weight. Mm-hmm. So what you need to do, if you tell me, well, I don't have diabetes, my HbA1c is normal. If you don't tell me what your serum insulin is, then I don't know. I mean, it's frankly, it's a crime that we do not check everyone with serum insulins all the way down to age 2 or 3, because we could catch the children on their way to diabetes or obesity. And it'd be a lot easier to say lose 2 pounds, your diabetes is gone, versus when they weigh 300 or 400 pounds. Look at YouTube, Kachmann. I have many shows on that. Look at the one on diabetes, and you can have a tremendous amount of information. And so a key step in avoiding these difficult problems is overeat. Leptin resistance and insulin resistance will be in hot pursuit. It's difficult to get on top of them with willpower, okay? Because they are programmed into the instinct of survival. Mm-hmm. Rule 3, do not eat large meals. If overweight, try to finish your meal slightly less than full. This is a good trick. Talk a lot, talk to the other people at the table, because the food will digest and the full signal will catch up in 10 to 20 minutes. So eating slowly is important. That's a good trick. And Rule 4, eat a breakfast containing protein. Proteins tend to turn the appetite up. So metabolism can increase by 30% as long as 12 hours from a high protein meal. So high protein breakfast, to have some eggs, and some good fats, some guacamole, for example. And so a high carbohydrate breakfast of juice, cereals, waffles, pancakes does not increase the metabolic rate. It may trigger a problem with insulin resistance. A high protein breakfast helps metabolism to turn on. Eggs are a good breakfast. Cottage cheese is another. So high protein breakfast is important. Rule 5, reduce the amount of carbohydrates eaten. Low glycemic complex carbs are the best type to consume to not aggravate a leptin problem. If you have leptin resistance, for example, to pay attention to the type of carbohydrates you may be eating. So too many carbohydrates causes leptin to rise at the wrong time of day, okay? Being a health asset manager, which is well described in this book, to learn to manage it, a health asset manager has to learn to manage leptin and the knowledge to keep weight off. The secrets to assessing fat burning mode, okay, the purpose of the 5 rules for mastering leptin, which are well described in this book, is to create energy and metabolic efficiency in the body. We have to use our knowledge, which we can gain by looking at Susan Ryan's book and by looking at the leptin book. Also, Fork in the Road by Dr. Unwin. I highly recommend that book because him and his wife are both diabetic. Now they're not. And they're eating a keto way. And they travel all over the world to teach other countries. I think Dr. Unwin and his wife Jen probably are the world's experts in proper eating and what foods to eat. I hope to bring him to this country one day. They have excellent YouTube shows to learn new information. Remember what I said. The main thing is they say too, that the reason that we eat the wrong food, we're addicted to sugar. Sugar is the booger. Sugar is the booger and the hooker. An individual has the ability to extract real energy from food they eat. If an individual is overweight, then employing the 5 rules helps normalize body weight. These rules also keep a normal weight individual from gaining weight. And remember, those rules are well described inside that book. So, especially when getting older, how to enter fat-burning mode. Diabetes is more common in the elderly partly because they have sarcopenia. They have less muscles. Stored fat is called triglyceride, and it's one glycerol and a carbohydrate. In order to induce the body to go into a fat-burning mode, it is necessary for the body to break down stored fat. The savings account for stored energy. Remember, fat in your body is stored energy. It has its own hormonal system. This requires that there are relative deficiencies in the easiest to use fuels, carbohydrates, and saturated fats. And once you access fat burning mode, stay there. The whole purpose of healthy eating is not calorie restriction and deprivation. These approaches simply result in yo-yo dieting, endless problems, fluctuating leptin. The issue is on improving the metabolic efficiency in response to food. That's what we try to do. Exercise will burn up maybe 20 or 30% of your calories. So exercise is important. I exercise, play pickleball. In my building they have a gym, and then they have a little room, and I close the door, and I have a bunch of songs on my phone, and I play these songs, and I tap dance and move and exercise for about a half hour or so. The music helps me do it, so that's a good thing. So stress definitely affects us. So in the morning, I will speak to my Alexa machine, and I will tell Alexa, play Rudy's playlist. And they will play songs, and I will get up and I will move my body and start my day. And so I think the important thing is that we try to control our leptin, our fat hormone, but most people are suffering from leptin resistance, and you need to get this hormone under control, and eating the correct food, and I think the simplest and the quickest way is to read Dr. Unwin's book, and you can learn so much about it, and to look at some of the websites that I mentioned to you at the end of the book. They also have recipes within the book. And another way of eating, I think, that can be speed things up in recovery is to do a little bit of fasting, which I do. I eat 2 meals a day. We don't need to eat a breakfast. Yes, breakfast is not the most important meal of the day. It was an invention by industry. They wanted you to eat. Our body, listen to this, secretes in the morning about 5 different hormones that keep your blood sugar like this. So before I play pickleball in the morning, I don't eat. What am I doing? I'm fasting. But there will be physicians, and good ones, who will recommend fasting a whole day or 2 days in a row. Or I really think the simplest way is to fast 16-8. In other words, I fast 16 hours. I don't eat breakfast. I play pickleball. When I come home, I eat a high, good protein, good fats breakfast, guacamole, and some eggs, for example. And because your body secretes these 5 hormones, growth hormone, ghrelin, abdominal hormones, and they keep the blood sugar like that. You don't need to eat breakfast, especially, but you can drink to maintain a good level of water in your body is important. So that you can drink coffee and water. That actually is pretty important, which I do. But coffee will not bring more water into your body because the caffeine will leave your body through the urine and takes about as much water as you drank, so that's irrelevant. So to drink in the morning, say a bottle of water, I think that would be a very good thing. And then you eat a good meal at noon. It almost doesn't matter what you eat at night, because if you eat around 5, 6, or 7, and then don't eat after that, so that you're eating at night, and you will just get your leptin resistance, and you will not be healthy. So eating at night, not a good idea, because you will crave more food and you will gain weight. So in summary, I think we've taught you a great deal about nutrition, and you can look at the websites, which I highly recommend, and I especially like the one where I gave you the website addresses. Look at those. Look at Simple Keto. Get the book. Like I said, you can get Susan Ryan's book used for $4. This is a used copy. So thanks so much for listening. This is a lot of information. Look at YouTube, Kachmann, Kachmann, and there'll be 1,000 shows on health on there. Why am I doing this? Because I love you. I care about you. After all, I am a doctor, and I'm trying to keep people well. My main mission, though, frankly, I'll admit it, is preventing diabetes, which is easy. But the money makers don't want you to know that, including the hospitals. And again, thanks for listening. I love you. We'll see you next time. Maybe I'll see you on YouTube. If you see me in person, ask me a question. And I love you. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.